trying to set it up now.
I'm trying to set up this. Yeah. Nilesh. Yeah. Nice meeting you. What time is it now? So actually, I wanted to keep the initial period for networking so that people come in slowly. And then,
I'm sorry, I had to. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Perfect. Experience also. Pretty good. और आ रहे हैं 15 लोग मेरे को ऑलरेडी मैसेज आ रहे हैं लोग पूछ रहे हैं एक्चुअली स्टार्ट बिटवीन मेरे पैनल्स वगैरह
Hi. Sorry, I hate to break the possible conversations that are going on. Louder? Right. I hate to break the awesome conversations which are going on. My name is Puneet and welcome everyone. So whenever you guys are ready, so let's get started. If you want to grab your seats, feel free to bring your tea or a sandwich you're having, and we'll get started. So with that, I'll also invite panel 1 to join us. Okay, so I'll invite my panelists. Come. Thank you so much. We're trying to make this as interactive as possible. We have an awesome panelist today. We have an awesome panel today, and I'll be moderating, and time and again I'll try to jump in. But just a quick introduction to start with. Like I was mentioning, I'm Puneet. I'm the founder of CustomerSuccessBox. We are a B2B customer success platform. How many of you using or seen customer success technologies before? Okay, brilliant. That's amazing. So we are one of those platforms out there, and we're trying to make our own little difference. Towards the end, if you are curious, after the panel, we might do a 15-minute quick demonstration as well, if you are interested. I'll be moderating, and we have 2 key topics today. We're going to be starting with the first one, which is about moving from reactive to proactive. The topic specifically is around if you've just started or planning to start the customer success department, division, philosophy, journey, whatever that is. And I think you'll find some of those questions and conversations relevant. Quickly introducing the panel. Senthilvel, you want to go yourself?
Hey guys, Senthilvel. So I had the customer success activities at Synup. So I've been in the customer success team for close to 10 years. And what does Synup do? So we basically are into location intelligence. In layman's term, so I'm pretty sure all of you guys use Google, right? Any information that you see on Google has the wrong details, or you guys are going to be left in the wrong direction. So we make sure that doesn't happen, right? So that's a very layman way of saying what we exactly do. That's me.
So am I audible?
Yep.
Alright. So one cool fact about Senthilvel, so he was first customer success manager at Freshdesk. So he's seen a lot of those journeys, starting up for the first time, and I think hence he's really apt to participate and share his knowledge on it. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Bharath. Most recently, I was with Belong, where I did customer success there. Before that, I was with Groupon and a bunch of other companies, and one of them was Yahoo. Yeah, that's it.
So Bharath was, of course, very humble in his own introduction. So good thing about Bharath, he's the person with the maximum amount of experience. So all the tough questions, we have decided to throw up in. So he's your man with knowledge.
And the problem with he's saying he's the oldest is that the other two don't look any younger than him. Hi, my name is Nimesh. I manage customer success at Pluralsight. In customer success for over a decade now, and looking forward to learn from you and share the knowledge which I have. Thank you.
So I think what I understand is that you used Nimesh already. So you got great reads in the introduction. But one cool thing about him that I found out was, so he's got, so if you look at the customer success word, it starts to be in 2008 onwards. And I think that's like, wow, you're before the industry. So it's like a long, so it's still audible, I was like, I'll try to use this. So the topic that we are picking up, I think we all know why we should do proactive versus reactive. But very quickly, if you look at why do we want to go proactive to start with, you all are party to it, and I think you sort of understand it better than I do. But the way I always explain it to and make a business case for it, how many of you come from sales marketing background? Fantastic, lovely. So in sales and marketing, in the subscription world, when you sell something, what do you bring in to the business? You bring in revenue? Yes?
Yes.
Louder? If you were in sales and marketing? Yes?
Yes.
Wrong. You bring in only customers. In the subscription world, you make revenue only when the customer stays. So, cost of acquiring a customer, CAC, as we all know it, right, is very high. How many of us are actually even thinking about calculating CRC, cost of retaining a customer? While there is a gigantic burn that we all have, I call the sales and marketing cycle the burn cycle. And the customer success, onboarding, support, advocacy, referral, that cycle, the earn cycle. And so it's very clear that sales and marketing today, very important function, they always were. I've been 12-year hardcore sales, but I think today sales and marketing brings in customers, logos, accounts, but the revenue only comes in if you're able to keep customers. And I think as customer success leaders, practitioners, we are all have this recurring revenue on our shoulders. And recurring revenue, for the larger the company grows, the larger the responsibility goes from 20% when you are seed stage to 50% when you are Series A or B, and eventually 80% when you are the larger. That's the revenue contribution the recurring revenue component has. So with that, I think it's very clear why we need to go from reactive to being Mr. Customer, you have a problem, you come to me and support at I will response under the SLA.com to Mr. Customer, let me help you get to value. And with that said, let's ask our panelists the first question. So what really is the difference between support, tech support, customer success, and professional services?
Thanks for the context. Before I start, just want to understand how many of you are customer success practitioner right now, that you are in customer success roles? Awesome. Now, I don't think I really need to define what customer support is versus a customer success versus a professional services. But I'll just touch upon how they are closely integrated. Now, I'll take an example here. Now, as a customer success team, you would want to work with your customer support team to understand why the customers are reaching out to support. If you don't do that, you cannot proactively handle the use cases which you can automate and decrease the effort score of a customer. And I remember a quote from Jeff Bezos who said, the best customer service or support is the one where customer doesn't need to call you, doesn't need to email you, it just works. And that's where he addressed the effort from a customer. So that is the reason why customer support and customer success should really work with each other. With respect to professional services, I've always seen it as a place where you can increase your sphere of influence within the customer. It's always an expansion motion because that's your differentiator. There are high chances that your competitor may not have the depth of professional services which you have. Suppose you have one point of contact in customer place, a professional services engagement can help you reach out to 5 different people. And that builds the defensibility. So for me, customer success is a combination of customer success core plus customer support plus professional services. And it's also important so that customer have a very streamlined experience. When they deal with 3 different teams, they shouldn't think that they are dealing with 3 different companies. If you are not aligned internally, there is no way customers will have that alignment in place.
So, adding on to what Nimesh has said, I think in my real experience in customer success is really an umbrella term, right? And it's also, I think, an umbrella sort of job and an umbrella profession where, like you put it in the question, it's equal to tech support plus customer support plus professional services. And I think you can add any number of, other sort of jobs or sub-jobs to this, right? You can call them success services or, sometimes we've helped our customers, host birthday parties for their kids, right? It doesn't really come under our sort of job, but what does it take for you to make sure that the customer sees success? They bought your software for a reason, and they need to see success for that, and what does it take for you to get there? And especially in the early stages of a company, I think the gamut of things that customer success has to do is huge. In many ways it's insane. The kind of things you'll have to do to sort of get the customer on board, build a relationship, and so on and so forth. So I think it's definitely all this, but I think there's a lot more that I'm sure each of you are experiencing when you're sort of doing this on a day-to-day basis.
Bharath and Nimesh, if you want to come in again and Senthilvel will address. So very specifically, what does success mean? Should we just start renaming and this is happening? Like renaming all our support reps into customer success? Is that just another buzzword, or is there a difference in the job role itself? And what is that core difference? And is customer success replacing customer support here, or are we talking about an entirely different equation?
So, I think personally it depends on the stage of the company. When you're very small, everybody, actually even before you have a customer success rep, your salesperson, your tech person, your product person is doing customer success in some form or other, right? Which is either support or helping the customer understand how to reach their goals and so on and so forth. So I think the smaller you are, the more nebulous the differences between support and success. But as you get bigger and you have an opportunity to specialize, I think the difference is the blur becomes less of a blur and more of a line. So support in a sense is reactive, like you mentioned, and customer success, the topic for our discussion today is that we're trying to see how it can be proactive, and there's many sort of reasons to be proactive, which I think we'll touch upon a bit later.
Adding on to what Nimesh and Bharath said, right? So one thing which I strongly believe in is that every single person in an organization is in customer success in some form or the other. right? So we have a lot of CSMs over here. I'm sure all you guys have had experiences where have a bad fit sale that comes in, and you guys have to deal with it, correct? Right. So now let's look at it at a little bit of a transactional level so that I'm clear. Just think about your own portfolio of accounts, correct? You're not engaging with every single customer on a daily basis in and out, right? So you need to nail those moment of truth and create those wow factor, wherein the customer thinks about it for the next 3 months, and on a monthly basis you probably can just give them a product update or something on those lines. Agreed, there are certain customers wherein you need to engage on a daily level, probably 15-20% of your account base, which is going to take up a lot of time, right? So that's where your extended team, especially your support and professional services come. Let's take an example of professional services. And today, let's say there's a particular product. There are 100 other companies doing the same exact thing over here. So what's your key differentiator? It's the experience. During an implementation, you get a good logo, and your professional services is not aligned towards customer success, right? They're going to take their own sweet time. You're messing up your entire onboarding, right? And then it's going to become a negative experience, and the customer success manager has to do a lot of back and forth firefighting. However, if your professional services is aligned with customer success, when I say aligned, I'm saying about the mindset, right? And they jump on things, create the wow factor. It becomes easier for the customer success rep to take it from here. Now let's speak about support, right? Yeah, in early stage, everyone's doing everything, but think about as you scale, right? So one end of the spectrum, you have a customer who's paying you $30 a month, and the other end, you have a customer who's paying you $5,000 a month. You need to invest in a diligent way which makes more sense for your business, right? So as you scale, what you're going to do is you're going to think, okay, here's my lower end of my spectrum. So I need to kind of automate things, make them self-sufficient. So that's why having a solid customer support team, so irrespective, even if they reach out to you, these guys can actually resolve issues at a one-footing basis. And that's going to make life a lot more easier. And probably for a renewal manager or something, 1 year down the lane, it's going to be an easier conversation, right? So to summarize, I would say it is good to have all these three aligned to customer success.
To this microphone. So very, very specifically, what was that one thing that support and professional services were not doing that customer success was required to be, why was customer success born in the first place?
So from my experience of being an individual contributor for a long time in various organizations, I think one main thing which was missing out was the focus or the thought process of having a customer for life, right? That wasn't there. For them, here's my implementation, I finish it, I get my services revenue, I'm out of it, right? You're not paying me, I'm going to probably take my own sweet time to implement you. Customer support rep, okay, just I have a 4-hour SLA, probably I'm going to go play a foosball, I'll come back in the 3rd hour and I'm going to resolve things, right? So I think customer success, the value add, what we were able to give, at least from my experience, I would say is that helping the extended teams think in the right direction. It's not about finger pointing, it's I think a lot about education, letting them know how they are actually contributing, to creating a wow factor with the customer so that he sticks on with you.
I think the primary use case why customer success was born is because no one earlier had an agenda to make customers successful. It was more around, do I have a great rapport with my customer? When I SMS my customer Happy Diwali, do they respond back with thank you or not? Do they answer my call? So that was the key initiative wherein you build relationship and you were confident that, hey, as long as I have a good rapport, the customer will give me business. If you look at the operational philosophy of customer success, it is in addition to building relationship, you have to ensure that you make your customer successful using your product. If that doesn't happen, your competitors have huge budget on digital marketing and they can definitely reach out to your customers. They can attack the pricing, they can attack whatever are your weak points. So it's very important to make customers successful and not just rely on your typical relationship-based selling. So I think that's the core of customer success. If you're not focusing on success metrics, there's no way that you can focus on growth, forget reducing churn.
Right. I think that was very good to sort of explanation that we got, and especially having the mindset of keeping the customers for life. And another way, the way I describe it is tech support or product support or customer support. The role of product support is very important. Like there's nothing wrong with that role, but that role is essentially an individual who's an expert in understanding the product, or whatever SaaS product or a non-SaaS product that you're saying. So the product support or tech support is an expert in that. There is a customer success manager need not understand that product very well. What they understand is what value the business needs or what value is required by their customers, and they understand it. Mostly, what I've seen is most of the customer success flourishes when you understand the domain very well. Product, there are lots of engineers within the organization, not just customer support, but the entire engineering team exists to provide you support there. But to empathize with the business case, I think what they're pitching, that's another way to sort of say the same thing that you guys were saying. With that, let's move to the next question for the panel. Is so what does it take to go proactive? And when should one go proactive? Should we put together a customer success organization, a customer success mindset from day one? What will be the right trigger? First customer, 10th customer, 100th customer, or first dollar, first 100K, first $1 million, 10 million? Or is it 10% churn or 20% churn rate? Or is it, what is the driver? When do you decide to go customers? When do you decide to go proactive?
Sure, so I'll address the proactive part first. How many of you have dealt with life insurance agents here? Okay, so the most proactive person I know was my life insurance agent. He used to come to my house, collect the premium, submit it, come again to my house and give me the receipt. Now the definition of proactiveness has changed over the years. That was proactive then. A Videocon D2H calling me now that 3 days left for your payment, they think it's proactive. But the definition has changed from just building a monthly check-in or hope all is well, do let us know if you need any assistance. It has moved to you sharing data, you sharing your success from other customers, your learning, your knowledge of the industry, and helping your customers stay ahead of the curve. That for me is proactiveness. And everything else in terms of the retention rates or the expansion will be a function of what right things you do as a part of customer success. So that's the proactive part for me. I'll answer the second part very briefly. I think the moment you have 20% of your customers giving you 80% of the revenue, you should think about building a customer success team. Because that will allow you to focus on those top end of the customer. Because let's say you have 100 customers all getting you $1,000 each. Now, while it sounds obvious, it's very difficult to implement a customer success team. The moment you have 20 out of this 100 delivering you 80% of the revenue, you know there is a specific need for customer success. Help those 20% of the customers get better.
So I have a slightly different view. I think that's the point of the panel, right? So one of the things is, you need to be widely proactive and reactive. There are sort of two perspectives to it. One is from the customer's perspective itself. And the other is from your own sort of individual and from your company's perspective, right? So actually, like in our everyday lives, right? If you sort of categorize the way we spend our time, you can categorize it in many ways, but I think one dimension is how much of your time is spent in doing something proactively and how much of that is spent reactively, right? And as a business, the less time the business spends on doing stuff reactively, the better it is, right? And why is that? Because if you sort of, at least if I analyze the work that I have done, and I think it may be true for most of us, if you analyze the work that we do proactively, that work is always towards increasing the top line or increasing the bottom line, right? So either you're increasing revenue or you're increasing profits. All this work, these two goals are only met if you're proactive about it, right? The converse is also true. So any time that you're spending as an individual or as a company reactively is actually going towards saving revenue and saving the bottom line, right? So hardly any reactive time spent is going to propel your business to the next level, right? So as a business, I think it's fundamental that you think I should have almost zero reactive time spent by the company, right? The other aspect, and I'd like to sort of draw some parallels from the retail industry and especially e-commerce, right? In e-commerce, and I think this was started in Amazon, and I got a hold of it when I was in Groupon because we had some execs from Amazon who came and were running Groupon. There is this concept called CPU, which stands for contacts per unit, which means if you're selling 100 items, how many customers are calling you, right? So if you're selling 100 items and 100 people call you, something's wrong with the business, right? But if you're selling 100 and 10 people call you, it's smooth. If you're selling 100 and one person call you, it's great, right? Now, one thing about this metric is, in that one metric gives you the health of the company. If CPU is very, very high, something is terribly wrong. You've shipped a terrible product that everybody is returning or everyone has a complaint or something, right? Amazon ships, I guess about 2 to 3 million orders a day, right? They have a CPU, for that scale, they have a CPU of 1% or less than 1%, right? Because they have just been like, okay, how do I, one, make the product so good, two, also reduce the opportunities for the customer to call me, right? In an ideal world, you should be able to make the CPU zero. There are some ways to do it, but maybe we won't get into that now. So even in that, so from that, if I draw that parallel to our B2B business, what are the opportunities that we have to prevent the customer from calling us, right? And that's where I think we start thinking of, he may call me for this reason, some other customer had this problem, this customer will also have that problem, and so on and so forth, right? So, because any time that I spend reacting to what he wants, I'm losing on doing something else, on another sale or another renewal or another upsell, right? So I want to completely eliminate any reactive time that I spend. In an ideal world, it should be zero, but it's hard. I don't think we reached that stage yet, right? I think the time to go proactive is from day one, from the time the company is instituted, right? I think it has to be in the culture of the company that I want to prevent this customer from calling, right? And I want to anticipate what he's going to think about and what he's going to call me for. You can't anticipate everything, but if one customer tells you something, maybe you can sort of iterate from that and put that into your process so other customers don't. But I think it's very important that as a company, you reduce your reactive time as a collective.
So, Bharath, if I can challenge you there a little bit. So when you say, in a B2C scenario, we understand, even in B2B, the same practices you roll out. But customer success versus tech support, I understand if I'm trying to use your product. Let's take an example. Let's say I've just procured a CRM, everybody understands CRM, right? Let's say I've just procured a CRM, and I'm trying to figure out how to add my lead, how to change life cycle of a lead, or how to add an opportunity. And for that, if I have to initiate a chat or pick up the phone and speak to somebody in the tech support or from the product, I completely understand that we need to reduce that. But the reason why I purchased a CRM was to get better at closing business, was to improve my conversion rate. And the reason why my success is not creating opportunities or figuring out CRM. My success lies in usage is not success. Success will clearly lie in how do I improve my conversion rate? What is the right flow? Should it take 5 days to close an opportunity or 50 days? For that, I would say customer success it's good to have those conversations because that will help you use your knowledge, like Nimesh, I think you were mentioning, that let's share the knowledge that we've learned from everybody else. So should we not encouraging some sort of conversations while discouraging the product support conversations?
So, no, I agree with what you're saying, but I want to say that, let's say the customer is not meeting his goal, his conversion is not happening. Customer success should initiate that conversation. It shouldn't be, hey, shit has hit the fan. Now, he's going to call you in distress at 9 p.m. saying, I have a board meeting next week and I need to sort of do that, right? So, because again, that is going to be a reactive time. If you have initiated it, you have planned for it, you've sort of thought about it, you've thought about what parallels you can talk about, what customers you can talk about that are doing it well, and so on, right? So, it's impossible to eliminate human contact, and that's the point of customer success. But if you are doing it, it's on your time and your time, then it's a much better use of the company's sort of resources.
My take on going proactive would be that I think we have to go proactive from day one, right? But one thing to keep in mind before an organization thinks of going proactive is, I would say, that top leadership, they should be aligned. Because the worst thing you could ever do is go proactive. Because when you're going proactive, like Bharath and Nimesh mentioned, you're going to get some feedback, few good feedback, and a lot of not so good feedback, right? How are you acting upon those feedbacks? The worst thing you could do is go proactive and just sit on it, right? So that's how you're going to operate rather than do customer success. Just stick to a reactive bit, right? So I would say, yeah, from day one, everyone has to be aligned towards customer success, and you should be very clear before going proactive as to how are you going to act on feedback. So that's where the reactive bit becomes important, because the reactive piece can be classified into two. One, wherein a customer is giving you feedback, reaching out to your tech team or whatever it is. And the second thing is where a CSM is channelizing feedback internally to people, and that's reactive, right? Because probably I've spoken to 10 customers, they said A, B, C, D are the things which are not working, we see a common pattern, right? And we pass it on to our internal team. That's a reactive thing which they're taking, because it may not be part of the product roadmap. How are they aligned over there? That's where your alignment with your top management is very important, because you need to act on those feedback, right? So that would be my take of going from reactive to proactive. And to add to it, I think we have to invest time and resources judiciously across your account deck, right? Or your customer cohorts. A lower end customer, probably you should think more about automating it, making them self-sufficient, yet create those wow moments on a regular intervals. You need to brainstorm and see what fits your business. For your higher end customers, there have to be those regular touch points, like how Nimesh and Bharath said, right? You have to see if shit is going to hit the fan, you should proactively go ahead and say that, hey, this is what, right? And reiterate value on a regular basis.
Great. I think so. You got an answer from day one, and you want the management aligned. Fantastic. And if you miss that opportunity, in that case, then I think Nimesh answered that if you've got 80% of this revenue coming from the top 20%, you cannot afford to lose those 20%. Great. With that, so the next question to my panel is, who should be leading this change? Now, the organization, customer success is a new thing which has come in. For all the organizations which are already existing, products are in place, customers are in place, marketing is in place, customer support is in place, maybe even professional services is in place. So when you are introducing this new, jigsaw piece and you're trying to fit it within the organization, who should lead this change? Should it be management-led? Should we bring in a customer success leader? Should you have somebody from support say, hey, this guy wants something that I don't know? Who should be driving this entire change? And if you can also sort of share your experience, since you've all seen this change in many places, you brought those changes and driven those changes. You must have seen that change being led some places by management, some places by the leaders of success, and some places even bottom up. Some places customer might have just asked for it and let that change. Which one worked best?
I think top-down approach works beautifully here, and I had a starting with my CEO, where I told him, whenever there is a all hands, or whenever there is a town hall, or whatever you call it as a monthly meeting where entire organization is at rest, if he doesn't say customer success twice in the meeting, I'll resign. Because the challenge is, the moment you have a customer success leader talking about customer success, the impact is much different, because you can always think that, okay, this person has a KRA to push this. The moment this becomes an organizational importance, organizational priority, that's when everybody gets into it. For example, we didn't touch upon product marketing at this point in time, but marketing has to be seriously aligned with customer success. We didn't talk about product here, but product too has to align with customer success. And yes, you need to be kind of fanatic as customer success team, where you almost become annoying for your entire company. I have seen cases where I'll enter the room and people say, come on man, this guy will come and talk about customer success. And that's perfectly fine. But the moment they know that their CEO, the Chief Revenue Officer, CFO, everybody is talking about customer success, people tend to get invested, even if they are not in customer success. So I'm a firm believer of it has to come top down. So customer success team will implement, will take the lead, will take the initiatives, but I think the messaging has to come from top.
So if I'm the CEO, let's say I've decided to go customer success, then so who should I pick to lead customer success from within my team? Head of marketing, head of sales, director of support, the most proactive customer support there is always one.
I think you should hire a dedicated customer success professional. So I read a quote recently where somebody said, if you have a person who heads both sales and customer success, one of the two things will suffer, and that thing will not be sales. So for that reason, you definitely need a leader in customer success to lead initiatives in customer success. Yes, he needs assistance from the top management to ensure that everybody else in the company understands that messaging. But I don't think I'll bank on somebody from one of the non-customer success functions to head customer success.
Yeah, and I completely agree, Nimesh, like last time. But I think it's the top down or the CEO. I would fundamentally put the responsibility on the CEO to drive the culture. I mean, it's not only the CEO's job to drive culture. Every employee has the responsibility to do it. But I think if it's not driven throughout the company, that customer success is a fundamental sort of revenue driver. It's not a cost driver, but it's a revenue driver. It helps in because in any SaaS business, after 4-5 years, installed revenue or recurring revenue is more than sort of new revenue, right? And if that sort of message is sort of inherent in everyone that's working in the company, I think it's sort of valuable. And the other thing that I've sort of noticed here and there is that some things are often considered only customer success issues, right? Like one of the KRAs for customer success managers or a CCO or head of customer success is retention and churn, right? And I think that's a fair sort of KRA to have. But I think it leads to the danger that the whole company feels churn ho gaya to customer success mein kuch galat kiya, right? Churn is not a customer success problem. It is a company problem, right? And I think I'm sure there are some sales guys here and I get hit, but I think 90% of churn happens during the time of sale, right? Obviously, there are some customers that we could have held on to, but I'm very sure that 90% of churn happens during the time. We've just sold to the wrong customer, right? He doesn't need our product. We spend ages and resources trying to get that customer back. And for this reason and also reasons that Nimesh mentioned, I think it's sort of wise to have two different leaders for sales and customer success. And as a company, I think companies do well when there are tensions in the company. And there has to be healthy tension. So the sales guy has to keep revenue on top of his head. Customer success guy has to keep retention on top of his head. The product guy has to keep sort of user experience double there. And these are all, in some ways, pulling in different directions, right? And that will happen, and I think that's the only way a company can grow. If heads of these departments like marketing, customer success, customer support, sales, CO are all in agreement, it will be a company that is small and peaceful and having fun. But if you want to grow, I think you need to have these people pulling in different directions, and then have those sort of mature conversations on where to compromise and where to draw a line.
No, I think this is a great point. We personally encourage. So in any meeting that we go, if there is no disagreement, I'll say the conclusion is the worst conclusion you've got because there has been no thinking, there is no argument. That means you've not thought through the problem. So yes, on the culture side, very interesting point that you made around the correlation with sales. So there is an interesting data point if I can share. So this was an exercise which when HubSpot was growing up, and this is a case study that they've shared. So HubSpot, when they were growing up and they grew very massively, there was a period in time, and their sales was just they hired lots of sales reps, and their growth really went through the roof. But along with that, their churn also went through the roof. I don't remember the numbers, so I don't want to share any bad numbers, but it just multiplied by 2x, 3x churn all of a sudden. And they were like, I think we have some bad customer success managers. So they took all the churn and correlated that churn data, like what is the percentage churn from your portfolio with every success manager. And guess what they found? They found like 0.1, 0.2% variance. Like somebody's got X.1%, somebody else has got X.2, X.1, 0.1, whatever. So there was hardly any variance. And then there was a moment, it's like, let's correlate the churn with the sales reps. And that is where, the aha. So we've got these guys who are awesome at selling, but they have no clue who to sell to, what to promise. So it's like you were selling the product to somebody, there was no alignment. And I think that's a very valid point that you brought. And yes, customer success is a company problem, and not success managers alone can't change the world. It's a philosophy that needs to be adopted across the organization. Great point, thank you.
Just to add to that, after that, HubSpot changed its sales commission to include churn as a variable for their incentive plan.
I didn't want to go that far, the sales guys. I've been 12 years sales, so
Honestly, I don't know what to say. Bharath and Nimesh have covered it all, right? So yeah, just echoing what they said over here. I feel the customer success initiative should come from the top. That's the CEO. It's important to have a customer success leader, but at a company level, customer success should be a culture. It should be a mindset. Everyone have to be aligned with customer success, right? So often or not, I'm pretty sure that you guys are facing it when you go to a product team or marketing team or to any cross-function team. You're like, okay, we have a CSM over here. He's worried about his renewals, or he's just going to make unfair asks over here, right? So that should change, right? So it's very important. Every single cross-function team, it's a product team. You are shipping ABC features within the next 3 months, and this is the impact that you're going to be creating, right? So you need to drive that customer success culture within each and every team, right? So for that, I would say it's very important that your CEO has to be aligned with customer success. He should be a person who's obsessed with customer success and should be able to translate it to the cross-functional teams the way which would make more sense to them. Because if I go to a product guy or to an engineering team and I say churn or revenue, he's not going to be bothered about it. It doesn't make any difference to his life. But I think we should focus on customer success over there as to how are they taking the business to the next level? How are they contributing it? I think that's customer success. Wherein one aspect is wherein you're servicing your end customer, over here you're servicing your internal customers. So I think you have to focus on both equally, right? And to do that, the marching orders have to come from the top.
Great. I think there was good discussion and good input. Can somebody give me a time check here? Sorry, my phone is
7:30.
7:30. So I think we'll take one more questions and then we'll open up for audience questions. So So let's say I have gone ahead and decided to go proactive from reactive. I've identified a leader. All that is done. How should I be planning my org? So within my existing organization, if I really want to go proactive, how will my customer success organization look like? So will I have like a few success managers sitting next to support, reporting it to the director of support? Should I identify a new chief revenue officer? Should we find a director or VP of customer success? Who will that person report into? Will the recurring revenue roll up into sales? So what does that structure look like? And frankly, we are seeing all sorts of variations that hopefully, you can enlighten.
I would say it's important to have, let's say you're just starting off with a customer success team, right? The most important thing I would say is to get the right person as customer success leader, right? Because this person is going to give you a wealth of feedback, right? So when you're starting off, you're not going to nail your proactive activities then and there. You're going to get a lot of customer feedback first, right? You need to understand what you're doing. So a lot of mistakes I would say, which I see a lot of customer success leaders doing, is that they take armchair decisions. Company A is doing A, B, C, D in customer success, so I'm going to do this in my company. Because they've hit 100 million, I'm going to do it in my company, I'm going to take it to 100 million. It doesn't work like that. It's important when someone who's ready to get their hands dirty, who's ready to speak to customers, understand what's going on, and then take decisions based on the learnings which they have firsthand from customers, right? That's very important. So that's where you need to have a dedicated customer success person, right? And I would say in your initial stages, I would prefer a customer success leader reporting into a CEO, right? Because it's more about the culture, the mindset, and doing what's right for the business, right? So I would say a customer success manager or a leader reporting into, let's say, a VP sales, right? So automatically his thought process is going to shift. He's going to think more on lines of how do I get revenue, how do I get upsells, right? He forgets that he's a consultant. He has to take a consultative approach towards problem solving. So that basic thing is missed out. So I would say at least you hit, I would say about 15, 20 million revenue. It is good to have, a CSM leader reporting into a CEO because, you're still early in your journey, right? You do 10 things, probably out of the 10 things you do, 2 things work, 8 things don't. So it's very important you need someone to back you over there and say, it's okay, fine, we achieved 2 things, now we're going to aim for the third, right? So that's how I think you could scale up a success team effectively. And I would still, a lot of people speak only about the proactive bit, but the learnings that I had over the past, I think we still have to focus on reactive as well. Because another set of new customer success leaders who have interacted with, what I've noticed is they focus so much on the proactive activities. At times, it's just noise for the customer. You need to understand what are the moments of truth when you create wow factor, right? If you're engaging with the customer, I strongly believe, right? So if you engage with the customer even monthly once or 45 days once, you should be bringing value, if not don't, right? That's the simplest thing to do over here. And the reactive bit is easy. So I'm just sharing an example as to what worked for me when I was a CSM for many, many years, right? So as Puneet mentioned, in my fresh work, I've always been one of, first CSMs. And, they give you like 10,000 accounts to deal with it, right? So I have 10,000 accounts, I don't know what to do over here as a CSM, as an individual contributor, right? So the very thing I could do is, speak to customers, just introduce myself, right? And how do you build? They say build rapport, people say build rapport, you have to build rapport. You have to take it to the next level. How do you do it? You need to build trust. How do you build trust? When a customer knows he can bank on you. When does he bank on you? And there's reactive things and you work on it and give him a wow experience once, twice, thrice, he automatically starts reaching out. That's how you take the game to the next level, right? So you have to get your basics right before, because honestly, I might be wrong, a lot of people may not agree with me. I feel customer success as a term is being used in all ways that it shouldn't be, right? They speak about proactive, customer advocacy, referrals, upsells, revenues, right? But what about the human factor over here? What are you doing the basics? Okay, customer success I would say is an easy thing, but a very difficult thing. The difficult bit is you need to do the basics day in and day out for the rest of your life. That's very important. And that doesn't happen in a lot of places, right? So that would be my take.
So
So I think, again, like a lot of things, it depends on the stage of the company. And I think one, like I would have loved to read a book or some article that said, how should CS orgs look at different stages of the company. This is there for marketing, for product marketing, for sales, for almost every other discipline, but at least I couldn't find it for customer success, right? And if I reach out to somebody, like if I reach out to somebody at Gateside and they're happy to share their experience, they sort of always say what should how their customer org is today. But it's very hard to get them, because they were not there at the time, to tell me how the org evolved from the first year to the second year to the third year, right? So if you've done it for 5 years, I think there's an opportunity to write a book and make it easy for everyone else and earn some money. But I forgot, yeah. So I think it's, when should you have, I think you can afford to have your first customer success hire till it's too late, right? If this is a startup, you have a few customers and you have a customer success manager, yes, that's great. But I think it's important that the rest of the company, the CEO, the sales head and the sales org, the product head and the engineering head and both these orgs, product org and engineering org, really know the pain of the customer. Which I think, so one downside I see of customer success is that it acts as a huge shield between customers and the rest of the company, right? And so the rest of the company is not aware of the pains that the customer has to go through to perform some tasks or the problems that they have in everyday life, right? So till you can afford to do it, don't hire a CSM, right? I think the rest of the company should suffer, bleed, understand, live the pain of the customers, and then sort of iterate, and then you can have a first sort of customer success manager. Who the customer success manager reports to, I think it really depends on a lot of things. It depends on, sales is one option in the beginning, CEO is one option in the beginning. It really depends on, the personality of these people and at what stage you're in. So I'm not sure I can give one sort of uniform answer for that.
I think that's a very great point, Bharath, that when customer success, let's say overdone, can actually block or shield the rest of the company, and the rest of the company might think, well, everything is nice and good because no customer is leaving us, but the success might be holding the fort on a whole bunch of broken things. And so I think as success managers and success leaders, I think one learning that I'm taking from what you mentioned is our job is to, so yes, hold the fort, but make sure the feedback, keeps passing through, and we should let them. I remember we have one of our early customers is an alpha customer. They're based out of Noida. We're based out of, our engineering is based out of Gurgaon. We have some folks in Bangalore. I literally wanted to make them feel not the pain, but the excitement of, what does it feel, what you're building as engineers? Check out who's using it and how they're using it. So we have this playbooks for onboarding that this particular customer used to use in a daily stand-up. I took the entire engineering team and we said, like, we're going to be like flies on the wall and you just run your onboarding and that thing. That was the positive side of things, and I think we were communicating more and more as to how the products are being used. Great point.
I agree with both the points mentioned on reporting structure of customer success. One thing which I really like is when you hire your CS leader early in the cycle. Because it is very early, you have time for that customer success leader to actually work as a customer success manager. Because if that doesn't happen, that leader will not get the right measure of how many members he or she needs to add to the team. So in both my previous organization, I was the first customer success manager, and I remained the only customer success manager for a few months. And I think that really helped me in building the team, because I could understand the complexity of the product, what customer wants. And you can take decisions accordingly, that do you need solutions engineer? Do you need a more techie, less business customer success manager, or the vice versa? So I think you can understand and relate to that only if you have done the job yourself. If you are hired as a leader and the second day you are told hire 3 people, and manage them. That's not personally my idea of running a customer success office.
That's a brilliant point, and I can tell you it's hard to find those leaders who are still willing to get their hands dirty. So Nimesh, I think that's a wonderful. We have lots of leaders here and lots of wannabe leaders in customer success, and once you sort of dirty your hands yourself and you get the opportunity to, so you're pretty much entering when the entire canvas is empty and blank. So you can start to color it the way you want. And fantastic point. Good. So with that, let's open the floor to any questions any questions, any counterpoints, any disagreements. Feel free to bring those up. Okay. If you don't mind just speaking out, because we just have one wireless mic and we'll repeat.
Sure.
And if you can start with your name and your organization, that'll be helpful.
Hey, I am Raghavendra. I work for this company called Informatica. So my question to you guys is, will being proactive turn out to be damaging once the number of clients cross a limit, and where do we draw a line? This question is because of my experience. I think beyond a certain point, it really becomes impossible for you to be very proactive for at least a long day, or the 80-20 rule that we're talking about. Where do we draw a line?
So the question, if I can understand correctly, is so going proactive sooner or later, like above a certain level?
Beyond a certain point, I think going proactive might not make sense, or it might be too much of a burden for, let's say, the team that you have.
Right. So you're saying it might not be feasible to go proactive beyond a certain number. Okay.
Is it? Like, if it is, then I would love to.
Yeah, sure. I think yes, I have something.
I think I can answer that question in one word: ROI. It's a good problem to have that you are acquiring customers at that pace. And I'll come back to my original point, which is, if let's say number of customers have humongously increased and you think it's not realistic to have X number of customer success managers, you go back to the 20%, 80% rule. And if managing that is becoming difficult, I think you would want to get your hiring process right. Because as long as you are getting significant return on customer success being a cost center, that should not be a challenge. So yeah, that's my viewpoint. Like, I have never faced that so far. It's a great problem to have. That's like saying that, if we want to become $100 million, that would mean we need to hire more salespeople, and that's not scalable. Similar to how that's scalable, by the same logic, customer success hiring is similar.
Sort of another angle to look at it, so as a success manager, the easiest way to measure your contribution will be if I start my year, let's say with 100 customers paying me $100,000, at the end of the year, there might be a few natural churns, companies shut down, businesses close, things happen, mergers, acquisitions, all of that stuff. But from that portfolio of 100 without adding any new customers, my revenue ideally should go beyond $100,000 worth of revenue, and that will be the profit that you've added, or the additional profit center you are running as an individual. Is how it's supposed to be measured.
So one thing is that being proactive doesn't mean that the customer success manager has to reach out to the customer, right? I think being proactive, like we discussed earlier, is a sort of more of a company imperative, which means there are many ways. The least scalable way of being proactive is a CSM reaching out to a customer, right? The most scalable way is the product itself, right? So that's where, to your point, Puneet, it's the job of the customer success manager to sort of interface with the rest of the company and make sure that happens on the product, right? You got to fight for the customer and fight for what's right. So that's the least scalable, so the most scalable way to be proactive, right? Then there are, similar sort of low touch things that you can do. You can have email outreaches, email campaigns. Sometimes you can even get the community involved. right? Many, like HubSpot has a community that, answers, the majority of the questions that someone else may have, right? So, and then you have low touch CSMs and medium touch and high touch CSMs. So the least scalable way is actually the CSMs doing it. But I think if you have this imperative across the company, there are other ways to also be to make it proactive.
So you just need to be smart about your book of business that you have, right? So you need to prioritize your accounts in an effective way. So few customers you give the personal touch, you're reaching out on a regular basis, you're doing all your CSM activities. But I would say, in your book of business there should be a huge chunk of customers, we try to reach out to and, they say everything's fine, we'll get back to you something, it's not right, right? Try and automate things over there. Right? It could be as simple as a monthly product update or a bug fix going out from a customer success manager. Right? Automate that, work with your marketing team. Probably can have a Calendly link where the customer has any question, can schedule a call with you. Right? So think about automation because in SaaS business it's all about scale. Right? So it might be a business need, especially for a startup where they don't want to invest more on customer success managers. They have 4 customer success managers, they say okay fine. Until we reach a particular revenue number, irrespective of how many of our accounts we have, we need to deal with it. Right? So you just have to be smart about how you're going proactive.
Great. Sure.
So, given that clearly customer success needs to be scalable, especially in a SaaS company, and given that it's a lot more dynamic than a sales process or an HR process, either side of customer success, what do you think are the core requirements from technology? What do you think are the core requirements from technology to make customer success, succeed? Especially in like the Series B to C phase, where you have enough money to have 1+2 or 1+3, especially your customer success team, but you really want something that can meet all your sort of sporadic needs plus continuous needs.
So what's the role of customer success technology to enable, deliver customer success? Okay, I'm listening very quickly.
I'll take this, right? So I'll tell you a story. So when I joined Freshworks, I was supporting Fresh Service, the first CSM. The first day I go to office, they give me 10,000 accounts. 10,000 accounts, right? Deal with it, right? So I said, this is not happening, man. 10,000, what do I do with 10,000 accounts? Right? They said, okay, fine. You pilot with Australia. Did Australia for a month. They gave me India, then they gave me South Africa, then they gave me UAE. 5 different regions, 5 different cultures, right? I had to prioritize. My book of business was then about 1,000+ customers. What do I do with them? So that's where customer success technology helped me, right? Firstly, if it's configured in the right way, I strongly believe that it helps us CSM to focus where he should be putting in his effort, right? Second thing, I spoke about scalability. You could reach out to multiple customers at one shot instead of you picking up the phone and calling, right? I gave an example of a product newsletter or a bug fix, right? Using a customer success tool, you can actually reach out to multiple people at one shot. Second thing, let's say there are certain customers who you haven't engaged with, right? But these are important guys who we should be talking on a monthly basis. Book of business is really big, you can't keep it in your mind, right? So you get a trigger saying that, hey, you've not spoken to this guy for 60 days, pick up the phone and call. If a customer success tool can do that, it could be good. Look at health perspective, right? So again, everything I'm saying has actually happened in my life. So there are certain customers who are using your product fantastically. They love your product, everything. But on one side, slightly they haven't been paying you for months. That doesn't make sense, right? So if a tool can match you, like, hey, you know what? He's using the product to the fullest, but he's not been paying you. That's a red signal for me. I'm just wasting time and effort with the customer who's not paying me. So I would say that, yeah, you have to use technology, but the most important thing is that it should be set up correctly and it has to be adopted correctly within the team.
I mean, just to add to his, right, I think like how we sort of rely on other tools and we completely trust these tools. So like Google, for example, right? I mean, this is an example that's quoted very often. You want to search something, you ask Google, and if it's not there in the first page, then you think it doesn't exist, right? And there are a bunch of other tools that we use, email, for example, You search your email, if you didn't find it, it's not there in email, right? So there's a lot of trust that a lot of these tools are built, and I think it's definitely possible. It takes some effort and investment to think what metrics to track, what should go into a health score and so on. But if a customer success manager can walk into office and some tool can tell them these are the 5 things you have to do today, that's it, right? And especially if you have 10,000 accounts, these are the only things you need to do today, and the rest, and show them a pipeline for the week or whatever. Then I think this is not rocket science, it's possible. But and I'm sure this is something you're working on as well. Yeah.
I think all the points are covered, but you mentioned Series B to Series C. So if you already have money, I think you should first invest in a tool like CustomerSuccessBox, which will, you do ask me to do that, right? Now, the benefit of using a tool like CustomerSuccessBox is you'll be able to talk data and insights with customer, then those check-in emails. And that, as I mentioned earlier, is proactiveness and not really sending those check-in emails.
If I
1 minute, just interrupting Puneet over here. So if anyone wants to, I have a customer success box customer, right? We use customer success box. So if you want to know how customer success is done right, you need to be working with it.
I have one question.
yeah, I'll just take yours. Just give me a second. So I think that was our sales pitch, by the way. Thank you. But exactly how we look at it is, if the technology can guide you as to what needs to be done. So for our practical purposes, we want to know exactly who's getting value, who's not. So first of all, we need to understand that just tracking product usage is not giving you right signals. So there is no dearth of data today. How many of you use mixed panel, segments of the world, and amplitude, heap analytics, tons of applications? There's no dearth of data. You all have data. The problem that what we saw when we dived into customer success, number one was, there's just too much data. For a customer success manager, those tools are completely overwhelming. And I think just popping up 5 accounts, 10 accounts, saying, okay, these are the 5 accounts that need your attention for these reasons. And that's 80% job of customer success technology. Then the second thing that we found was, and this is where would love to know, how you guys feel, is I personally have, so I've used some of the products about 5 years back. I was forced into learning about customer success myself when I was given the responsibility of MRR. I was measured on MRR and I was a VP of sales. And I realized I'm not making my incentives when my sales team is making as still. It's like, okay, what's wrong? And that's when I learned that there's a leak in the bucket. And when I started using some of those technologies myself, what we realized was, while this technology is telling me that, hey, this customer needs your attention, but it gave me zero capability to act on that data. And it was out of that frustration 5 years back when we started building CustomerSuccessBox. We have built a lot of actionability on top of that. Knowing who needs your attention is not going to solve your problem. Acting on that information is going to act. That's one. And the second thing that we learned, and again tell me, what we are saying is, if you've got customers who are paying you $500,000 a year, how many of you have customers paying you $500,000 a year? Great. One customer paying you $500,000 a year, right? That customer requires white glove service. You take a flight, wherever they are in the world, go there. Life is sorted, no automation will help you. But 99% of SaaS has customers who are paying you anywhere between $10,000 to $100,000. And that is where what we realized, that more and more customer success is moving inside. You've got global customers, central customer success teams. And that is where the actionability, once we build, we are building very specifically for inside customer success managers. And so that's our core niche. A lot of automation and a lot of actionability sort of comes in. Sorry, but thank you for giving me an opportunity to make a pitch. That was not the intention, but that was a pitch. So, Ashok had a question. Go ahead.
So when we talk about customer success, it's like SaaS company. So we can check the data or usage of the product. What about if we have to roll out customer success in a company where we cannot get the data or usage of the product?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So we can measure the usage when we are getting signals from a typical SaaS company delivered on cloud. So how do we know which customer needs your help if you do not see any usage data or any value data?
So, I think there's sort of three categories of metrics you can look at, specific to customer success, right? One is customer activity, which is whether they're using the product or, are they seeing successful, right? The second is your CSM activity, right? How often are the CSM meeting them, and the CSM will talk a few things, and so on and so on. And the third one is what are the business outcomes? Where are they sort of meeting the success goal that we set out for them at the beginning of the year, right? So, from what I understand, you're saying the first category doesn't exist in this particular, right? So there's still two other sort of sets, categories of metrics that you can look at to get some idea of the health of the customer, right? And I think one of the toughest jobs of the toughest parts, at least what I found, is to figure out what are the metrics that go into deciding the health of the customer, right? I mean, because like you said, you can easily get 100 metrics, but what 5, 6 metrics really go into the health of the customer? That is an investment that I think the customer success manager, as well as the entire company needs to make to understand what goes in there. So to summarize, even if the first category is not there, there are other outcomes that you can look at.
Yeah, so if I could just add, so the way we look at health is we've got what we call Health 360. So we're just not looking at product adoption, which will always be the leading value metric, but we also calculate what is called financial health. What were they paying you earlier, what are they paying you, their invoices overdue, things like that. Then we calculate service quality health, which is still very important. Too many tickets is bad, too less tickets are bad. How many are critical, how many breach estimates, we look at that data to calculate service quality health. And the fourth health that we calculate is what we call relationship health. When was the last touch point that you had with the account? So all these four combined. But if I can answer this question in an entirely different way, and I'm going to challenge you back to show, give me one category or of one product where you do not get any digital signal back to calculate what value is being delivered. With the world that we live in, software as a service obviously is direct, but the IoT is the way they are connected. Like wherever you are carrying your phone, where you are, what you are doing, how many times you picked it up, how much you are eating with all the smartwatches. At an individual, at a P2C level itself, everything is connected. So there is literally, I don't know of any category today. We might not have adopted all those products yet, but there is not a single category which is not giving you a signal back. From your car to your shoes, to the chairs that you are sitting on, to where you are traveling, what you are doing, where you are spending. There is always a signal which will tell you who's getting value, who's not. I mean, like the food that you eat, you are dropping a like or a dislike to the battles of the world. There is always something which you have to think through. That'll be the last question. I know you raised, if I may, Bharath, I'll pass it to you. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, my name is Akshay from Pluralsight. So this question is not more around the topic, but I want to understand the career growth of a customer success manager. You start off with probably like a small account, like something about $2,000, $3,000 account, so larger buckets, and probably become a senior success manager or an AVP. What exactly does it mean? Like probably, let's say you are head of a customer success in a company. What is your career growth after that?
I'm all chips in, so I'll let them answer.
I would say, you start off with customer success, right? So, as an individual contributor, I'll go from the individual contributor level, right? So, it's a choice that you make, whether you want to go, up the ladder, where you want to become an EVP, VP, and a CCO or something on those lines, or you could choose whether you want to become a strategic consultant, because with the business landscape changing, just a matter of time wherein you're going to have customers who are going to be spending like 3 million with you on a daily basis, right? And as Puneet said, those customers require white glove treatment. So you could become a subject matter expert wherein you're just probably managing one customer or two customers, right? But you're a strategic consultant wherein you are telling them what needs to be done, right? You are sharing basically you become a thought leader for the particular customer. To take that part, I've seen people who become sales reps and then move on leadership roles in sales. I've seen people go to marketing. I've seen people. It's I think it's a good field to be in because you're interacting with everyone. I think if customer success is not your passion, what I'm sure is you'll at least realize what your passion is in this role, right? So that's all. So let's say a VP of customer success is there in a company. After that, what is he going to be doing in another company? I would say that it's his choice, right? He needs to find out where his passion is and go after it, right? So he will probably he would say like, okay, fine, I want to move more enterprise and move to an enterprise company as a VP of customer success. Or he could say that, hey, you know what, I want to downgrade. I would say downgrade probably. I think I want to become a strategic consultant. In fact, I've seen people who VP roles who step down to become strategic consultants because they're like, hey, I just want to be an individual contributor. I don't want the pressure of managing a team. So I think it's an individual choice at the end of the day.
To add and build on what Sunil said, right? One is you can just grow that ladder, and in that ladder also the nature of your job will change. Like you said, you're managing small accounts. Then I think the skill, for example, that's required to renew and upsell is different from a customer success, right? So then you're adding those bouquet of skills as well, right? And then as you grow in that sort of field, you sort of become responsible for revenue, right? So you're directly contributing to the top line. Then that is the whole customer success level. But then there are several adjacent places you can go to product marketing, you can go to sales, right? One very good jump I think is to go to product, right? I think customer success managers can make great product managers. You have understood the pain of the customer. You know, not only that company, any other company, right? Because you know how to sort of feel the pulse of the customer and develop for the customer. So I think all avenues are possible.
I agree with the point on product manager. And I think the truth is, at the end of the day, every organization is a pyramid structure. So if you have 20 customer success managers today, not all will become a director or a VP of customer success in the same organization, right? That's something very obvious. You will eventually be looking out at other companies. You'll be taking risk in smaller early stage companies for growth. And in addition to those title changes, your responsibilities will change. Today you manage a $10,000 account. As you grow, you will manage $1 million account. And the skills required for a $10,000 account is hugely different from managing $1 million account. So that's a growth in itself. You may still be an individual contributor, but for me that's huge growth.
More and more, sort of, as we are entering subscription economy or rather we are there, organizations are clearly going to have 80-90% of their revenues coming from recurring. The customer success journey will teach you how to upsell, get referrals, understand the pain of the customer, understand the pulse of the market. You would have seen enough churn that, hey, this is why my customer left me and went to a competitor. This is what we were not able to understand. You will also see what nobody in the industry is yet able to address because you will be the first stop for all the feedback. With all those skills, I think the future CEOs will clearly emerge from this background. Today, the CEO is picked either from a sales background or an engineering or a product background. I think given the success leader is going to be exposed to all of these pieces, the future CEOs are very clearly going to come from customer success backgrounds. It's obvious, and given the success industry is new, I think it's hence we have to travel that road, but it's very natural for me. Nimesh,
Thanks, Puneet. I agree.
So, thank you so much for being a wonderful audience. So this was panel 1. If you enjoyed panel 2, you're going to love panel 2. If you enjoyed panel 1. Panel 2, what's coming is, we have an awesome panel for discussing customer onboarding. A lot of you who are about to start customer success, clearly the first stop is the most lowest hanging fruit. Let's onboard the customers right and nail the churn 80-90% of the problem right there. That's exactly what we're going to be discussing in good amount of detail. Let's take about 10 minutes of bio break and whatever food is there. I don't know if it is still there, but let's reassemble and start in 10 minutes right here. Feel free to network in between.
do something that's completely different. I want to do something in electric two-wheelers. Okay, so trying to say that.
Okay. Should we start the second panel? Okay, lovely. So I'll invite my panelists. Rajiv, please come. Right, so we are at here. Whenever you guys are ready, you can grab your food and come here. So grab a seat, and I think you're going to love this one because this gets straight away into something that you can apply on Monday, if not on Saturday. So if I can invite everybody to join us. Okay, so we'll start with the introductions. Rajiv, you want to go first?
Hello. So hi everyone, my name is Rajiv. I currently work with a company called Hiver. And prior to that, I was working with a company called Pluralsight. Most of my experience, when you hear me talk about in terms of customer experience, customer success majorly is with Pluralsight. So there's a lot of stories, if I get the time, I will share with them with you. I've been in the industry for 15 years, and around 9 of them have been in the B2B SaaS field. And I know Puneet because not technically he is my guru, so he's taught me most of what I want to know today. So you will pretty much probably hear an echo of what Puneet has already said over here. So a lot of what he's told me is actually been passed on here. So yeah, I'll hand over to you.
Perfect. So one cool thing about Rajiv, and today he's going to teach us all, and me included. I think he's moved from, so he's been a sales leader, very successful sales leader also. And he's recently started learning his hands very specifically in onboarding, and very specifically both at Stack and currently with Fiverr. I think he's set up those processes, so we look to learning.
Hi guys, my name is Apurva. Coincidentally, 2 of the 3 panelists who were here before, I've worked in the same companies as them. I'm currently with Branch Metrics now. Been in customer success for about 5+ years, which I believe is when the entire movement started in India from San Francisco. Yeah, excited to share whatever I've learned till now.
The cool thing about Apurva is, she's one of the most active community members, not just in Bangalore, but almost globally, is what I've heard. You'll sort of find her most connected, but and that also gives us, I think she's going to bring in perspectives from what she's learned from her experience and what she's learned from speaking, meeting, talking, so many other customer success leaders. And of course, now we will know the other panelists. Her onboarding made them successful. Right? So cool. Go ahead.
Hi everyone, this is Shri at WhatFix. So essentially I've been an entrepreneur, and I had my first company when I was 19. had 5,000 plus customers, was interviewed by Rashmi Bansal. That was one of my happiest moments. And Rashmi Bansal is the author of Stay Hungry, Stay Foolish. So after which, I did my MBA, and I was one of the early employees at WhatFix. So joined as a sales executive. So I was directly reporting to the CEO. I think I've had one of the most amazing experiences reporting to the CEO, learning from the CEO. Became a sales manager, senior sales manager at WhatFix. Had the first sales team at WhatFix, and today we have 110 employees at WhatFix. With good funding, good number of customers. So recently I made a switch from senior manager sales to customer success with the idea that it's not just about creating recurring revenue for the company, it's about creating recurring value to our customers. So since I do not have a lot of customer success experience as such, so I've always believed that do micro experiments and that micro experiments will lead to a process. So that's how we are building customer success at WhatFix, and today I'll be sharing some experiences.
So, when I first met Shri, that was late last year. We agreed for a 45-minute meeting, and for 3 hours, we were discussing customer success, and I think out of which 2.5 hours we were discussing customer onboarding. Although he's the youngest, as he's humbly putting in customer success space, he's also the fastest learner, and he's very recently rolled out and set up customer onboarding processes for WhatFix himself. So, looking forward to that. So with that said, let's talk about why we picked this topic. Like I was mentioning, customer onboarding. If you have to do one thing in the entire customer success journey, customer onboarding will be that one thing. If you think like, hey, customer success is too much, we're not ready, how can you cut it short? And I'll say this: if you just do customer onboarding, the first 30, 60, 90, whatever that time frame is for your customers, depending on what your product and industry is. If you can make your customer successful during that, and onboard them right, I think 80-90% of the battle is won right there. That is the background, and more data has already proved that this is going to be your first, should I say, the milestone within the customer success adoption that you should be achieving. And no matter where you succeed, if you fail at customer onboarding, nothing else will matter. You fail at everything. So with that said, my first question to the panelists is, what exactly is customer success?
So your question is, what exactly is customer success, or what is customer onboarding? The latter. Okay, so the question is, what exactly is customer onboarding, right? So essentially, some people define customer onboarding as the first 90 days of journey, a time-based answer. Some people define that a customer, as soon as the customer goes live, that's when a customer is declared onboarded, right? So for us, the definition is a bit different. So I wouldn't say by time or by go live. So customer onboarding is a process wherein a customer starts their journey with us and sees the first value delivered. So this is the first business outcome that they have planned for themselves with this tool. So that is when I see that the customer is onboarded. For some tools it might take 45 days, for some tools it might take 90 days or 180 days. So it just depends on the tool and the type of customer that you're selling to. And do not look at customer onboarding as, you're onboarding a company, right? So let's say we have Cisco as a customer. So we're not onboarding Cisco, we are onboarding a bunch of people at Cisco. So do not forget that you're onboarding people. And typically in the first few sessions, we try to identify what is customer onboarding. After that, we do something called as person onboarding as well. So this is something that we recently started, wherein we understand our champion. We understand their personal aspirations, as to where does he want to be, why did he buy this tool, so what is he trying to prove with this tool within his organization. So it's not just customer onboarding, it's all about the journey to first value delivered with onboarding the person as well and not just the company.
Awesome. So if I had to put it in a very layman term, although most of you here are from CS, is fastest time to get somebody up and running, get a customer up and running with very minimum effort from their side. I think that's something that I look forward, that I put effort into when I am onboarding a customer, is that they don't have to do a lot to get the right documentation or to get into the product demos. Less effort from their side to see value. And the key metric that we measure, quite similar to what Fix is we would want to measure, or is time to first value. Because your implementation process could be long, but the moment that you see that, oh, this is the potential of the tool, or this is what I could get to achieve from this tool, I think that's the key metric to watch out for.
So yeah, to add to what everyone has said here, one of the things that we at Hive plan to do essentially is we've actually taken a step back and we've gone and done an analysis of who are our most successful customers already. So we figured out that these are the feature sets they're actually using, and that's what makes a true power user of the product. So like they're using notes, for example, or they're using another few features. And what we did was we then did a cohort analysis where we figured out, okay, this is what a marketing team would typically use Hive for. This is what an accounts team would use Hive for. And then what we did was every time we got a customer that fell into that cohort, we essentially then figured out that these were the first time to value features for them. And we then worked towards getting them to that point. Now that could be through training, etc., which I'm sure comes further on, so I'll not go into that right now. But that is our concept of customer onboarding, is when we figured out that for a particular type of customer, this is the definition of being onboarded. So our definition varies from customer type to customer type.
I think that's a great point, both Rajiv and Bhu, I think sort of already discussed about it. So Bhu specifically mentioned that it's the effortless journey to first value. I think what Rajiv, let's dive into this a little bit. You've already hinted is what exactly is first value. So Rajiv, to your point, you're saying that first value will depend on what industry they come from. Is that how you look at it?
So what we've actually done is we've gone really granular. We actually gone by function type. And when I say a function type, I mean, is this an HR team? Is this an accounts team? Is this a sales team? Is it a support team? What is the type of team that we're working on? And based on the type of team that it is, we have a different set of values. Just to give you a very simple example, if I'm a support team, it is very important for me to answer emails in X amount of time. So for them, in our book, a great first value would be setting up an SLA, like a service level agreement. Whereas if I'm an accounts team, I really want to declutter my inbox. I'm getting all kinds of email, I want to declutter my inbox. For them, a great first value will be using our automation tool to auto-close emails that are spam. So basically what we are doing is we're making sure that everyone has what we define as first value there. So it is very, very variable, and we're still learning as saying goes, because we're already onboarding some unique teams. Like we recently onboarded a tools company. They actually build drill bits. I don't know what the first value for a drill bit company is, but I'm figuring it out as you go. And that's, I think, one of the exciting parts of doing this, is you figure stuff out as you go whenever a new team comes. So yeah.
I think very interesting to note here, and what Rajiv just pointed out. So the same tool is purchased by different customers for different reasons. So, and if you can sort of immediately think through what your customers do, they buy the same product, but different customers have different reasons. So for example, if you, like Rajiv was mentioning in his case, if you think of a CRM, and it's a common example, so I use that often, is a CRM can be purchased. Somebody can say, hey, I have all my opportunities in an Excel sheet. I need a realistic forecasting, and maybe that's the big number. For somebody else who's purchased the exact same CRM, might say that, hey, my sales team is distributed all across the world, and I want commentary to bring everybody on the same page. But the third use case can be same CRM. We want to reduce the first response time to our needs. One product can provide three values, three different use cases, and I think that's a great job of identifying. So that is value.
Rajiv, that I would tailor my onboarding particular to the use case, pertinent to the use case. For me, I think the way I see value is very simple, right? So they either have been able to get their campaign live, send an email or whatever that your product does, versus they were like, one is that they were able to clearly do what the product they purchased for. Second, they were able to see potential of doing that. So either you were on a screen share call, you were able to show them what they could do with the product, and they had that aha moment that, oh wow, this is exactly what I needed. I needed to get this campaign live, or I needed to basically get this easy automation, and I'm able to see that with my use case. So either one of these two sort of works for me in knowing that there is value in the onboarding process.
Yeah, I think to sum it up, mainly they define it's all about value creation, right? But it can get a bit tricky when you're talking about value creation. So typically in the onboarding process, you make it a point that you talk to the sponsor of the project and the implementation contact of the project, understand value definition from their words. The sponsor might define value in a different way, and the implementation contact might not even know as to how this is going to impact the business value, right? So define the business value. One important point here is often we look at usage metrics, we look at a lot of metrics to derive value, but look at value in two different ways. One is a tangible value and one is intangible value. So tangible value is something that you can put your hands and say that, see, this is the usage. Your users have used my product for 5,000 times, and this is the perceived benefit or potential benefit that you have received with the product. But the intangible value is probably as simple as a feedback. Maybe you have just rolled out the tool for 50 users. If you do a quick survey, you just go say hi, catch them in the coffee counter and just ask them, are you finding this useful? Maybe they get good feedback. So how do you get that intangible feedback and then push it back to the customer is something that defines the value.
I think I'll really great points. So getting a sign up directly from the sponsor to get like, okay, is this what value to you? Okay. And then being very, very specific to what the use case is. What should be the goal for the first very specific 30, 90, whatever the onboarding period is? Because a lot of time when you go back to the sponsors, they say, hey, for a CRM, let's say the goal is to improve my conversion rate. But we all know conversion rate is not going to improve in the first 90 days. Right? So how do you ensure that there is some value which gets delivered during the onboarding, that they are willing to continue to work? So what should be very, very specific goal? If we can, I think continue to build on this conversation. How can we be even more specific and say, tell me the goal for the first 90 days, where the onboarding we mark as check marks and done?
That's a good question as well. So typically what happens is, we would always define a value, saying that going live to X number of users or supporting 30% of my, reducing 30% of my support queries is a value for a sponsor. But the important thing that gets missed out there is I'll give you a practical example as well. So recently when I onboarded a customer, they just said that I think the first value we'll see when we roll out these 10 walkthroughs. So in WhatFix you have a concept called walkthroughs. It's like building video, you build a walkthrough as well. So you roll out 10 walkthroughs, that's value for me. So the important question here is, we often forget to ask what is the timeline and scope of this project. So when we say first value, you want to roll out these 10 walkthroughs within the first 30 days, within the first 90 days. Is that even possible? What kind of collaboration is required for that first 30 days or 45 days? Often it's not that you're not delivered value, often there's a mismatch in expectation. So the customer would think that I'll be able to, as soon as I purchase the tool, I'll be able to build 10 walkthroughs and roll out within the first 30 days. Otherwise that might not be feasible. The time constraints on both ends, it might not be feasible. So first, clear out those goals. I would always say business impact or value with project timelines and the scope very, very different. That's what's going to happen to this.
I would like to come back to your question. So when you said apply going on. So I would try to sort of highlight that, even if I'm not able to deliver the exact percentage metric that sign up was for.
So yeah, to add on what you said, is this better? Yeah, yes. So to add on to what they've already said, one of the most important rules I think we're missing out when you think of this is that there's a person who's already actually done the value gathering and who's already actually shown the basic value, especially in the case where there's a trial sign-up being done or when they get a chance to value the product. That's just it. Okay, so in our case, we have a sales guy who's actually done the value gathering for them, who's actually helped them out with the POC of the product, and after 14 days or 30 days, depending on what kind of customer it is, they go and buy the product. So for us, the value gathering part is already done. We know what they're looking for. The further point for us is to give in some thought leadership in that saying, hey, you know what, we've got customers X and Y and Z who are already using the product for us, and we know you are similar to them. I noticed you're not using these aspects of the software. Is it because it doesn't apply to you guys at all, or is it because that you don't know about it? That's where our role is very, very important. So our goal is actually to decide the goals for the first 30 days. As he's very rightly said, depends on what they want to do with that product overall. Not every metric, unfortunately, is measurable. For example, we've got a very arbitrary thing that you'll hear in sales all your life, which is we want to improve efficiency. Now, how the hell do you measure efficiency? And how can you say, oh, your efficiency is gone up by 6% this month? It's very hard to tell. So basically, the idea is to understand what was valuable to them. Is that will first of all be delivered or not? That usually is done by the sales guy. That's why they buy the product, because they kind of convince them, okay, I'm going to buy this product. So the second half of the onboarding essentially is more thought leadership from our side, saying, you know, companies like yourself, the teams like yourselves have benefited in the past when they've used certain features or certain aspects of the software, and these are those aspects. And if they show further interest in your training sessions, etc., which I'll talk about, which essentially helps them get to where they want to go. So a common assumption check you talk about is we assume that our customer actually always knows what he wants, which is not the case. If you've done sales long enough, you know, customer just comes in with a list sometimes saying, oh, this is a list my boss said, strike off this list. So he doesn't know what value is for him. That's why a certain amount of thought leadership is always needed very, very important.
That's the last point is very interesting, I think. So what exactly is our role, you know, as a customer success, you know, person who is sort of onboarding the customer? What exactly is the role? Are we serving the customer? Are we a friend to our customer? Or are we the doctor to the customer?
And this is me echoing what we talked a long time ago. I think I still stick with the doctor mentality. We are the doctor in the end of the day. The patient is saying, my hand is hurting. It could mean anything from a heart attack to a pain. So we actually have to figure out what works for him is best, what is the real symptom underlying, and then give him the best course of treatment. And if you go to the good hospital, they do physiotherapy, so I guess you can call the onboarding sort of the physiotherapy that's going on after the sales. So I think doctor mentality is the best thing that works for us.
Essentially, just to add on top of this, I think Apu got a very simple and important topic which is often forgotten. So during the sales process, I've been a sales guy for enough of my experience. One of the simplest and the most efficient sales techniques that work is showing a prospective customer the before and after story. So this is the case today. You have these many challenges with your business. At the end of the day, they are money to solve some business challenges, right? So this is the before story, and the sales guy gives a prediction of the after story. So as a CSM, it's our job to actually implement that, you know, create the before and after story for the first time, and show it to the customer in a tangible way, saying that, see, this is the before, this is the after, and this is the first value that we deliver.
So I think it's a very, very valuable tool that you just shared with everybody, showing the before and after. But usually after is a long list that sales have sold, right? And that long list is very hard to achieve in the first 30, 60, 90 days. During the onboarding phase, getting a sign off that, okay, let's take you here. You know, so how do we ensure that we are not overdoing, underdoing? Clearly what you're suggesting is, should we teach the customer that everything about the product should be enabled, all the features. For example, there is a the function is an HR function who's using Hybrid. Should you teach them all the features that an HR function is benefit from, or are you going to hold some features back, hold some usage patterns back, and restrict yourself to a smaller use case?
Essentially, I'll start with the first point. So obviously, you have a list of features, 25, 30 features. The customer pain point is XYZ. So as a CSM, we first have to understand which features would make sense for those pain points. So that's where we spoke of a consultative approach, right? So you might have 25 features, but these 5 features are going to solve the first highest pain point. So often a person buys a tool when they have a very tangible pain point, right? So that's the first pain point that we have to look at. And irrespective of the time, let's say we have a 90-day onboarding process. So is this the pain point that we want to solve first? So that's a sprint for us. So essentially after that sprint, you have to educate the customer that it takes 3 or 4 sprints. Like I mentioned before, it's not going to solve the problem in the very first sprint itself. It takes 3 or 4 sprints. So can we come up with a strategy to identify 3 to 4 sprints where we do that onboarding process repeatedly in order to solve these challenges?
So I think great point. So what you call sprints is, so would you call all 4 sprints as part of onboarding, or do you just want to call the sprint 1 onboarding and the rest of them as the subsequent playbooks?
Could you repeat that?
So is the first sprint onboarding, or all 4 sprints are onboarding? Well, what is your definition of onboarding?
So essentially, the first sprint is onboarding, where you identify the next 3 engagement sprints. So I would call it as an onboarding sprint, and the next 3 followed are engagement sprints, where you are trying to increase the economic of the platform.
That's a solid point. Very good.
Yes, so completely agree with Srihari, but I also have another angle here, and this is me being selfish as a CSM. So the next time I reach out to the customer, I don't want to say, hey, just checking in how you're doing this quarter, right? Like, I instead want to say, hey, there's this new feature which I think kind of makes sense with your business use case, and add more quality and value to the subsequent conversations, right? Which is why I will hold back the first time that I'm talking to them during onboarding. I'll only talk to them about the 2 things that they signed up for immediately, and the rest is like, that's low price, we'll talk about it later. So, yeah.
So to add pretty much what you said, I do agree to bombard a customer with a 1,000 feature product. They are not going to take away any value eventually. They just want to say, okay, this is too much for us. There's actually a risk of them thinking it's actually too much, which you want to avoid. So which takes me back to the original part. I said I actually divided my customers into cohorts to make sure I don't bombard an HR team. So that's one of the things that we've done, taken away initially, the first part itself. The second part, like I said, I've got the luxury of a salesperson who's actually gone in there, figured out what they need. So by the time my team gets on to doing what they need to do, we actually narrowed it down to certain aspects that we're going to work on with them. Now, having to answer your question further, even then, it's not like one feature that is going to go top. It's probably 15, 20, 30 features. How do you prioritize which feature to go with? I think that's where the consultative approach is very, very important, because the CSM needs to take whatever the sales guy has done and actually build on top of that and say, look, I understand this about you already. I know you're doing this already. But let's talk a little bit more about what would be a must-have or a good-to-have in the software. What would make life even simpler for you? And then just take it from there and say, okay, then this is now coming on the wish list. So in reality, in a SaaS business, the must-haves are usually checked off by the time they buy the product. They won't buy the product, the must-have product checked off. So you're effectively working on a wish list or a must-have or good-to-have or, oh, I didn't know this kind of feature list. So that's what you need to narrow it down as to what you want to start.
I think this is great, information and knowledge sharing that is coming from all 3 of you. In one case, so one of the common mistakes that we've seen when we all start doing customer onboarding, that we decide, we assume that training is equal to customer onboarding. That's one. Training is required. I'm not saying training is not required. But the mistake that happens is we try to train customers on every feature in the very first 50, 30 days. And guess what happens? Customers like, holy shit, I'm not doing all of this. Has that ever happened that a customer never showed up for the second training, third training, calls them off, the onboarding keeps on getting deferred? that usually because we haven't set expectations, we don't know what they want, and we are probably overwhelming the customer. In one such case, where we were working with our own customer, and they had a 90-day onboarding process. And their biggest problem was that the customers will stop talking to them and just vanish, abandon them. They will not even ask for refund. They'll just abandon the project and run away after 2 or 3 training sessions. And they normally used to have about 6 training sessions lasting up to 2 hours each. And these guys were not even, their customer base was not even very technology friendly. They were selling into a non-tech industry. And the moment we sort of analyzed that, it was natural and obvious that you're torturing your customer, overwhelming your customer. You're literally scaring away your customers. When we were able to work exactly how, I think, value identification by sales guy, that was implemented, identifying that we want to take them just to the first value, and then using the methodology that, Sri was hinting on, that let's divide that in multiple sprints. And sprint 1 is onboarding. The onboarding time got down to 32%. More important than that, 95% of the customers were successfully onboarded within those 35 days. So that's the sort of magical improvement you can expect once you've identified what onboarding means for your customers. Now the second learning that I'm seeing that you guys are hinting, especially Rajiv, so onboarding will mean different things for different customers. That means, how many of you actually use playbooks or a well-defined onboarding process on you? Great. How many of you have more than one onboarding process? More than one onboarding playbook? Great. So I think what Rajiv's point was that, hey, maybe you might want to have 3, 4, 5, depending on how many personas and how many core reasons there are for purchase. If you purchase from an HR, put them into the HR onboarding journey, which might be very different from somebody who's purchased from a support onboarding journey. So can we talk about that? Have you seen something like that?
Yes, absolutely. So our tool gets used by marketers and developers, and 2 very different kinds of people, right? So one is very people friendly. They will be like, yes, you know what? Explain it to me. Tell me what you've learned. And the other will be like, send me docs, that's it, thanks. So you do have to cater to different personalities within your different teams and not overwhelm them, I think, as you very clearly said. Whilst we don't have the details of it nailed down as yet, I think I personally, in my approach, know that, yes, this is how you need to tackle these different personality types.
Essentially, one of the biggest advantages when I was interviewing for WhatFix was I asked my CEO as to what is the biggest advantage of WhatFix as a tool. So he told me that WhatFix is applicable everywhere because WhatFix works on any web-based application of your choice. It could be an e-commerce site, it could be Salesforce, it could be Facebook, it could be anything. So then, after working as a CSM, I realized that the biggest advantage that my CEO told that it was applicable everywhere. Now the biggest disadvantage is it's applicable everywhere. So, literally, I've sold it to NASA, I've sold it to Siemens, I've sold it to Cisco. So these many different customers will have different use cases, challenges, and all of that. Right? So during this entire process, I would say try to come up with a basic framework for onboarding. It might start with as simple as working with your sales team. So when you're working with your sales team, go a bit deeper. So every single department that you're working, go a bit deeper. Go to the SDR notes, sales development representative, as to what were the initial conversations that they had, what motivated them to come on a demo, how was the sales process, how did the sales process go through. So in these cases, you'll start finding out, some small details like, when a person who bought the tool is also the implementation contact at the company, the implementation is far better, just because he has driven the entire initiative. So these are some small details that you'll start to find out. And typically, if I have to define the onboarding process, I would define interact with sales and SDR. The second one is send a questionnaire even before you have an onboarding session. Third, have an onboarding session based on the answers from the questionnaire that you brought. The fourth one is help them communicate the launch of that tool. That we're launching this tool. You have to use these are the benefits that you have. So customers, users, right? So you have to identify the customers, users, and help them communicate that, and sign it off with an implementation report. So that this is the implementation that we've done, and these are the benefits that we've seen.
Do people ever fill the questionnaire?
Yeah, that's a pretty good question. So essentially, out of 100 customers, not all 100 customers are going to fill out the questionnaire. But the success doesn't lie with all the 100 customers filling it out. The success lies with the conversion that you get. Let's say 15 customers filled in the questionnaires. It means that they want to respect your process, go through the process, then you have a higher chance of better preparation to a better answer. So,
So because I think you're super lucky, because working in India market, I created an implementation plan, I shared it. Nobody opened it. Nobody cared about it. I kept asking them to fill it to realize that they would stop taking my calls if I kept doing that. So I think like a high level of empathy is also important during the onboarding process. Suppose if you buy a tool and you feel like you're comfortable with it and you don't want somebody to keep asking you, are you okay with it? Are you okay with it? Maybe like I wouldn't do the same to somebody. Not saying that you're doing it, but I refrained from sharing a lot of documentation during the onboarding process as a manner of overwhelming.
I think just to add on to that, there might be an angle to it. So what we've seen and what I have analyzed is it can be very specific to your industry. For example, if let's say talk about the industry that Rajiv is representing, which is the support industry. Now, customer support industry is not new. We all have seen flavors, we work with them, we've been there largely. So most of the time when somebody is buying a customer support platform, he's not buying it for the first time. He is not implementing it for the first time. He is very likely in that industry for the last 10, 15 years. That means that individual knows exactly what to do with the product, and hence they may not want as much hand-holding as you are offering. Whereas in the other industry, like customer success industry, interestingly, so every time we send out a questionnaire and we offer them a workshop on, hey, here is a 2 hours workshop we're going to do to set up account health. Here is a 1 hour workshop to do how do we set up your onboarding journey or an onboarding playbook. People love to sign up for that, and people sit through, and we can't solve for them, so we just enable them to go through the workshop. Another interesting place where I've seen people love getting that help, post-purchase, whenever you're selling into a non-tech industry. And when your typical user is a typical non-tech user, I've seen people love filling those questionnaires, and trust me, the longer, the more involved they get. To address that India part, if I can drop in one more, how many of you serve India market as customer success? So, in your first meeting, open that template and then ask those questions, document. Ask those questions, document. Ask those questions, document. In the end, you leave that document with them. They will feel that they have contributed to it, and they'll give you an agreement, disagreement. You ask them to fill it out, and it's like lazy.
That's like my key takeaway from this right now.
No, I hope it works, and let us know if that does. So let's move on to the next one, which is I think very interesting. Who should really onboard? And we've seen variety, and frankly, I think the industry right now, if you ask me the industry that I know, because we speak to so many customer success leaders and so many SaaS companies, I think it's right now torn 50-50, and I'm telling you it's 50. Should there be a customer onboarding specialist? Anybody a customer onboarding specialist here? Right here, like customer onboarding specialist. Your job is just to onboard. Great. Should it be the job of the customer success manager? And I've got one customer where they actually, the sales takes responsibility of onboarding. So should it be specialist, CSM, sales, and just to throw it in the mix, should support onboard customer success, onboard customers?
I'll just go first because I dabbled in doing this for a bit. I was an onboarding specialist, which meant that any customer that came in to my organization, I was the first point of contact. Until they first saw value, which is when I would hand over to the respective CSMs. And I feel that's not the best approach because it makes your customers question. So you're introduced as a product specialist. You're like, this person knows the in and out of the product. Then they're like, okay, so what does my CSM know? If this person is the product specialist, is the CSM not the product specialist? And onboarding is also a very critical time for you to build great relationships, right? Because the tool's just starting out. There's so much value add, which CSM should definitely do, right? It's a very high touch point, and I don't think CSM should miss out on that time. If I were to talk about sales doing that, I think they would just try to sell like, like just add 2 more features to this mix. So probably not the best idea. Support would be interesting, although like I don't know any support functions who try to do onboarding, but why not? Interesting.
So you're looking at one team where the support team is actually involved in onboarding. So what we eventually figured out, and this was my learning from Pluralsight. When I joined Pluralsight initially, I had a ridiculously high quota, and I quickly discovered that that quota was not going to get hit by just closing the business. So I had 2 options. I could hire a separate independent customer success team. I quickly realized that the biggest resources were actually sitting in the company already, which was my sales. They had the existing relationship with the customers that just closed a few months back. They were perfectly capable and willing to learn customer onboarding or customer success. And the only tricky parts for them were when it was a highly technical question or highly technical onboarding. And we figured out the best way to hack that was to go on a call and get our support guy to sit next to us and just get the onboarding done in real time in conjunction with the support. So that is the learning which I carried forward from Pluralsight to Highway as well. So to give you an example of how it's working at Highway right now, if one of my account executives, for example, Mathur is sitting right there, were to close a deal, and he figures out very, very quickly that this customer is pretty much not using the product like he should be, or something is very wrong, it's very low usage, he would go after them and say, can I do a training session for you? Would you like me to get a training session? And then what he would do is he would either go on the call or just open up the call and let my support guy actually walk them through the entire training, because obviously some of the things that they're going to ask are going to be pretty technical. And Raghav may not want to dabble in that, knowing that there's a person who capable and sitting on the call with regards to that technicality there. So that's what we're doing right now, and it's working very well for us, because at the end of the day, during that 30-day journey, which is our onboarding time is 30 days, we're happy at the end of 30 days, there is still one person that sits in the customer's mind, that is Raghav.
Rajiv, do you think, specifically a support guy training, this is the first time I'm hearing that, works in your case because you're pretty much educating them on the product. You're not educating them on the domain, given the domain that you are from. Do you think it will work where the customer doesn't know himself what he wants? Then it will be very challenging to, for a support guy who understands the product very well, and which is very valuable information, but is not able to contribute a lot on the domain side.
So that's why there's a sales guy sitting right next to him. That's why there's a 2 of them connected. So the sales guy's role initially is to actually completely understand where that customer sits in that cohort analysis in head, because he's already gotten the value statement out from him earlier. And he's the guy, and this is real thing happening. When it happens, is he tells the support guy, don't show this feature, stop. Don't go there. I know what they want, don't go there. This is not good.
I know I can argue with you. So, see, the job of sales is what the product can do, right? And sales, many of you are sales or ex-sales, you know exactly to talk about, okay, this is what the product can do for you. Sales usually don't know how the product can do. That's where you bring in the support and bring in how it works.
So, super question there. And that is one of the reasons why most of my sales, all my sales team has to actually go through almost all of the support training initially as well. So my sales team is very well versed in the product. To give you an example, when the customer is initially trying the product, my sales team usually never lets it pass on to the support team till the point that it is pretty much where they need some serious help. So if you look at my current sales guys, if I were to throw them in the support chat, they probably would hold their own, because we discovered very soon if you keep having so many different departments to handle a single process, we'll be sitting on a 7-people team just doing 3 different things. And that kind of doesn't work out in today's day and age, where the customer would like to stick with just one person. In this case, maybe Raghav solved it. So I remember Raghav. I need technical support. I still don't know about Raghav. Let him decide what's best.
So I think one thing which is clearly coming out from this conversation is having a single contact who sort of continues preferably from pre-sales into post-sales. And if a specialist is brought in, like who was mentioning, that opportunity of building that initial mutual relationship and showing that you can add value to their process is sort of lost if you bring in a specialist. So you're recommending being a specialist, you're recommending having a success manager do it. Yeah, please.
So essentially, who should do onboarding, right? That's the important question here. So I would suggest it depends on the stage of the company. If there's sub 5 million, in that case, I would suggest the CSM to go through the entire life cycle, so that once you understand the entire life cycle, so let's say I have a small team right now at WordFX with 6 people. So once all the CSMs go through the entire onboarding cycle, engagement cycle, renewal cycle, out of these 4 or 5 people, now I'll be more confident to see as to who is onboarding better, or who has a knack for onboarding, who is showing early value, who is tying the communication loop, and probably involve that person as a specialist, who can do some special onboarding, or who can only specialize in onboarding. My take is you cannot specialize or you cannot just do onboarding until you understand the big picture of the entire sales cycle.
That's a great point. Pull over.
Yeah, I just have something to add here. If I were to set up my own CSR, instead of having an onboarding specialist, I would try to drive more one-to-many ways of doing onboarding, right? So instead of hiring an extra person who just takes care of onboarding, maybe webinars for all the customers who signed up in this month. Like we are not sharing any business sensitive information, but sort of getting them, their CSM, to do that one-to-many engagement.
Okay, I think that's a great point. Just hold on to that, and then let's finish the pros and cons of bringing in a sales specialist. There's one more angle I think that I'd like to sort of get your views on is, do you think the complexity of the problem? Because the only situation frankly that I know of where an onboarding specialist will make sense is if your product is very, very complex, or it works in a very specialized environment. For example, you have, if the product is not very complex, whether your sales and your support can understand the domain equally well, I think you have the advantage that they can play multiple roles. But let's assume a product which works on an oil rig, okay, an offshore oil rig. Majority of the sales guy will know how to sell that value proposition to oil rig, but would have never stepped onto it themselves. You will clearly need somebody who has spent years on that oil rig to onboard, and a success manager maybe from a different perspective. I think that's the only situation that I can think of.
So even in that situation, because we're talking about tech, we're talking about SaaS, I feel like a solutions engineer could replace an onboarding specialist in most of the cases, if not all.
Yes, and I think that also makes a very natural case for charging for onboarding or bringing in your professional services. How many of you charge for onboarding, but there is a premium onboarding?
Not for onboarding, professional services, yes.
Professional services, but professional services, I'm assuming majority of the time is deployed during onboarding process
It's
itself.
a very premium onboarding which involves strategy.
Correct. And I think that's a great job that majority of the Indian SaaS companies I think are not doing very well, and we don't have to keep it all for free, rather offer premium service at a premium price, and there are lots of takers for that.
Sure, absolutely. To add to that, the wider example was really good, to be honest. In the kind of industry we are, we're all in the SaaS industry right now. I think everyone wants a multi-functional team. Nobody wants super specialization. Like you said, I've got an onboarding specialist and a customer success manager. Then I've got a pre-sales engineer who's also probably involved before the sale with my sales guy. The problem with that is there's so many hands involved. When there is a real problem, everyone's first of all looking at each other, going, whose problem is this? Is this a pre-sales engineer's problem? Is it a customer success problem? What about the sales guy? To avoid that, that's why I've always worked trying to keep it as few hands as possible involved in the entire journey. To make it very simple for the people involved is like to know, yeah, this is still my account, I need to look after it.
So very interesting angle, a very counterpoint on when to specialize and not to specialize. I'm personally a huge fan of specialization. Whenever your business can afford it. Not every time your business can afford every specialization. That's a fair point. So with that, let's move to the advantages and disadvantages of doing one-to-many and one-to-one onboarding. So let's talk about that. Which one do you prefer and why?
So my view is I think this will be very evident. I'm definitely for a one-to-one because I've already said I've got cohorts. I know who my customer type is, so I can't afford to one-to-many unless I'm closing. Coincidentally, I've closed 5 HR meetings in the last 5 years. If that happens, then maybe I could do a one-to-many. But in our industry type, that luxury will take this. You're closing customers from all walks of life, which basically means you're either looking at a 1 month ahead schedule, saying this is the onboarding, especially for an HR team. If you can granulate to that level, maybe you could do a one-to-many. But in our business, one-to-one would make more sense where I close the customer, want to concentrate on his requirements, his needs, and try to onboard.
So that's interesting. Although I'm very curious of the topic. If you're onboarding and is so specialized based on the HR function, do you have sales reps also which specialize? You're from the HR function, then it goes to X sales rep, and if you're from the support function, it goes to Y sales rep.
That is definitely on the roadmap, so you got that right. That's on the roadmap. I'm planning on doing educational specialists, government specialists, and maybe a few more spending
I think, like Rajiv said, ideally, yes, every onboarding, every interaction would be one-to-one. But given how it's difficult to hire more CSMs as you scale, if you have 100 customers, you can't be on 20 CSMs. That also gets pretty tricky. So that's when I would look to scale one-to-many. I personally, dabbled a bit with trying webinars out. I'm not going to say that it was extremely successful. I think it needs to be fine-tuned better, but it works as a one-time activity. It works, and yeah.
I would definitely vote for one-to-one as well. But I'll just take a step back on the entire specialist approach. So what I would say is, since most of the companies and most of the people that I've interacted today are from early stage startups, except of course Pluralsight and Belong. So these early stage startups, the mindset with which we started is, do every onboarding as if it's a paid onboarding. It's as simple as that. So as if the customer has paid for it, I'm going to take the initiative, I'm going to do that onboarding as if it's a paid onboarding. So once you have enough onboardings, these skills will help you come up with a playbook wherein you can make a person specialized in that onboarding playbook itself. So that's the entire approach. And it's Friday, right? Just to get a bit filmy and dramatic. A specialist is not born on day one. A specialist is made over a period of time.
Let me bring in an interesting angle on onboarding one-to-many versus one-to-one. And this was learning that we obviously got from some of our customers, and they've successfully been running both. So what they found was they had a decently complex product, which takes about 90 days to configure, all of that stuff, set it up. But usually, and tell me if that is true for you as well, how many of you have a configuration side or an admin side to your product, and then there is a boss user side to the product? So, all of this, yeah, brilliant. So what we've seen is when you are working to solve the business problem, you are usually working with somebody who understands the business pain, somebody who's going to configure the platform, and somebody who's going to pretty much, for example, in our case, I work with the head of customer success to help them configure the playbook. But once the playbook is configured, then we can do a one-to-many training for all the success managers. So there is an admin side and a user side, if I can use that terminology. And if your users can be like, if your user training is like common, then I think the webinars and things like that that you'll see very, very effectively working, while you can enjoy and give that vital service on the admin side. If you have any comments, feel free to add, otherwise I'll.
So just to add to this, we recently closed a very large deal. Now that they had 10 administrators for the product and 80 users. So first things first, they said we want a common training, and we actually pushed back saying no, the admins will get training separately, and the users will get training separately. Please don't bring the users to the admin training and the admins to you.
It was well played example of being a doctor. A lot of times you have, patients walking in, customers walking in, telling you, Mr. Doctor, who's the success manager, I have fever, prescribe me this antibiotic, and I want to take all the pills tomorrow, and I want to go to work the next day. Right? As a doctor, your job is to tell, shut up, listen to me, sit down, that's not what you need. I know your symptom, I'm going to decide your medication. You have to take 1 pill a day, 4 sprints, like you mentioned, and eventually over the year, your health will improve. And I think that's where we need to be very, very clear, and that's well played example of playing a doctor. Good job.
Yeah, it's a learning which we had made a couple of mistakes because we actually realized when we call everyone, the administrator is not looking at the function. It's like, how does this work? And I have to stop the entire training session and explain it separately to the administrator while everyone else in the room is yawning. Like, why are they answering this question? So we actually learned from our mistakes and we started doing this.
Okay, we'll keep moving forward. So, I think we've covered a decent bit of topic, but let's not talk about, so we defined what a customer onboarding should be, how to go about it. But how do we know that we've successfully onboarded this customer? Who decides that? And what is the data point that decides that? We've seen multiple ways. Should it be time bound? If a success manager, and which is what is typical, if you have completed all the success manager tasks, which 90% of those tasks are, if you've delivered all these trainings in the time bound manner, let's say the first 30 days, then onboarding was successful. How many of you have a time bound measure of whether the onboarding is successful? Okay, great. Is that the only measure? No. No? Good. Should it be feedback based? Like you go to the customer and say, hey, what's your feedback? Whether you ask them certain questions or maybe it could be a net promoter score, a survey that you might want to run. Or how many of you run an NPS immediately after onboarding? Immediately after onboarding, great. Should it be based on any customer reviews? So how many of you ask for customer reviews immediately after onboarding? Okay, great. And how many of you ask for referrals after onboarding? Okay, Sri does that, courageous onboarding. So, out of all these things that you do, where do you say, because I've got a better NPS or whatever, my onboarding is successful? What's that key parameter?
I'm going to sound repetitive at this point, but I think time to first value is when I definitely know that the onboarding is over. Like the implementation is done.
So, I know I'm interrupting. So what we're trying to figure out is, how do you know that the customer has received that value? It's well established now that it has to be time to value. We want to take it to value. But how do you know that value is delivered?
So I am lucky enough to be able to see those metrics on my dashboard. I believe that
what metric? NPS, reviews,
no. So if I were to get into more details, no. The metric that the implementation is complete, the campaign has gone live, there are clicks or whatever details on that particular thing. So I'm able to very clearly see that they're using the product.
Product adoption.
Product adoption, right? In very simple ways. I think that's a clear sign that yes, the onboarding is over and successful. If that has not happened, and which is also the case in a lot of cases, then I have to rely on secondary feedback from them that things look positive, the implementations are underway. The implementations are underway, but it still looks like we're going to need more time, right? Or just feedback.
say that go live experience is really good. So that's when you start climbing on the advocacy ladder. So the very first rung of that ladder is getting your review. How was the onboarding experience? Now this will help our prospective customers understand how is our onboarding experience. Right? So you ask for a specific testimonial or review right after the go live period, and then say after 1 month they start seeing value, they start seeing usage. That's when you ask for a referral as well. That's when I declare a customer is onboarded. At the same time, I just go one spot above the advocacy ladder and say that, hey, I saw that you were working in Microsoft before and you were working in the Salesforce team. You think you could connect me to somebody at the Microsoft Salesforce team. So you do not ask for a referral, an open-ended referral, can you refer me to somebody? The customer has no idea as to who does he has to refer. Because he had a successful onboarding, you have to ask a specific question saying that can you refer to this person in your company or in the previous company, and that's when. So that also tells you that if the customer is happy with the first value delivered. But if the customer is happy with the first value delivered, that's when the customer is going to refer to someone in the first place.
That's a good point. That also reminds me, if you are handing over from a onboarding specialist to a success manager, the customer says, I don't have to return any favor to this guy because now I'm going to be dealing with someone else. So I think referral you can only ask if you have the same person continuing the relationship.
Just to add to that, I've got a very simple rule. That's a 2020 period. We've got an 80-80, which is if 80% of our users are using 80% of the features we planned out for users. Plan to consider it.
Overwhelming, maybe depending on how your product is along.
So what happens basically is we rarely get that number, and that's when we go back and say, hey, this user is not even started using the product. What's up?
So we do that sprint example, and I really love it. So here is what, and I think Bharath was also mentioning. Onboarding should not be the only playbook that you use with your customers. In fact, if you really break it down, onboarding can't be a one-time exercise. It has to be repeated. So in subscription economy, we are asking for a stream of revenue. A stream of revenue, just like a stream of water flows, it never stops. The revenue never stops coming. That is what we are asking them for. Similarly, they don't expect one-time value. The customers expect a stream of value. You have taken them to the first value milestones like, yay, it was worth 3 months of revenue that I've ordered, 3 months of subscription fee that I paid. Next 3 months, they expect something more and so on and so forth. And eventually, when you run out of the current set of features, I think you will eventually, your product will evolve into more set of features. And if I can finish, so what we've also seen, a lot of times you can expect customers to, you will require to educate customers beyond their original pains for which they purchased the product. For the rest of them, you will be required to educate the customer and see this is another benefit, another pain, the same product is sold for the same price. And now they don't mind paying you recurring revenue at all. And that leaves you, like Apollo mentioned, you don't want to go back to them like, hey, how are you doing?
One last point on that, so I think that's absolutely correct. So let's say we did the onboarding, we went through the engagement sprints, customer has spent 1 year with us. One of the things that most of us would forget is, how do you re-onboard a customer for the second year renewal? So recently we tried to do a re-onboarding with the customer for a second year renewal. So first year they paid us, we've done an EBR, it's looking good. The second year when we go there, again follow the sponsor, implementation contact, ask them, we identified that these are the challenges that we want to solve. This is what we have solved. So if you have renewed, there has to be a business purpose again. So what is the new goal that we have for this second year renewal and how can we help to achieve it?
Again, really important, I think, renewals and re-onboarding, I love the entire idea. I think we'll do a webinar, if not a meetup for that. But that's another topic, another big one, but thank you. So with that, I think it was lovely. Quick, we'll show you CustomerSuccessBox if you can still bear us for 10 minutes towards the end. So go ahead. In the meanwhile, any questions on onboarding? What was it? So So was the session helpful in terms of, were we able to connect to some of the mistakes or the pain points or the journeys that you've gone through?
Yep.
Okay. So, okay, I have one question. Go ahead, sir.
So it's for Apurva, where you mentioned, typically that you have dabbled with an idea of a specialist and then, probably think about having a success manager overall. The nature of our product, I'm from WebEngage KL. The nature of our product is that, onboarding usually takes a lot of time and, to deliver. The implementation itself is a cycle of 4 to 6 weeks. A lot of integrations that happen during that time period. So, what do you see a best value? Like we are right now with an onboarding and a customer success. That's how we are right now. What didn't work out for you, in this piece where you see a gap or something?
I think it was mainly so the onboarding process went smooth. The time to first value reduced, right? That is the metric we were measuring. That was great. What I felt was the gap was the handoff itself. So you have a sales to CS, like sales onboarding specialist handoff, then you have an onboarding specialist to CSM handoff, right? Whenever you're increasing the touch points, information is always going to get lost, right? So I think ideally you would want to have your onboarding specialist and CSM at the same technical knowledge level, where you can have them, interchangeably work across. So that's one thing that it worked for me. The second thing, I felt customers themselves were confused between if this guy is a product specialist, as I mentioned, is the CSM not the product specialist? Like, am I being downgraded in some way or the other? Right? If that makes sense.
Any more questions? Last one. Everyone forced the demonstration of you. You guys are keen on the video? Yeah. All right. So I'm going to log into CustomerSuccessBox, and we will not obviously be able to cover the entire product, but we'll try to give you just enough clips to get to core value. Talk about what the product is, not how. So you're looking at CustomerSuccessBox. I've logged in as John, who is a success manager. I can switch to all, and I can get into portfolio views and things like those. As John, I can see active accounts, what's their health mix, viewers view, open tasks, tables, all of this. But let's get to some key meaty pieces. Since we are just coming off onboarding, let me show you how our playbooks look like. Now, you can have multiple playbooks. Onboarding can be one. We usually recommend having multiple flavors of onboarding playbooks. So I'm going to get to just one of the onboarding playbooks here. Now I'm looking at John's portfolio. Let's just bring in a few more accounts. So how many of you have seen Trello? Very similar? Right. So we've kept it extremely simple when it comes to the usage, sort of the look and feel. You can instantly connect. So what you see here is all the activity, all the new steps. As you define steps, you can define how long each step is supposed to take, so on and so forth. So far, very simple, nothing magical. You can do this in Trello. As an account comes in, the clock starts to tick down. Again, nothing special. Every step will have their own further timelines. Nothing special. Okay. First thing, every step can further have sub-steps. So that's, again, I think so far, any typical a task management tool can have this thing. Alright? So far what you're saying is essentially just the bare bones task management. in swim lanes which can be customized, and that's it. But now let's start to add power of customer success on top of this. Number one, the health score that you see here, and I'll show you how it's coming. This can be custom calculated for each account, configured specifically for onboarding. During onboarding, what all do you want them to do? Second, we were talking about product adoption. So no customer goes from sign up to good health in a single jump. So you always take them through different milestones. So let's assume in this case, this is an example of a marketing tool. You can define when the first customer logged in, and let's say when the first assignment was created for an LMS system, for example. And let's say these are the two key product milestones that you would like to define. And what we've done is you can associate the real milestones. You can have any number of milestones and track them who have met those milestones and which customers have not met those milestones. And that sort of gives you exactly where each customer is on the journey. As they are moving forward, you're basically taking them forward on the process, but are they really moving forward on the product adoption journey? That is something that we really emphasize on. And if I dive into that account, so let's say that I dive into this particular account here, you can have multiple milestones, and this is the journey that we've created for this account. And you can see exactly where they are in the journey, what all milestones have been completed, and you will be able to find your own milestones. So we give a huge amount of importance to product adoption, broken down into smaller milestone chunks. So that's one. The third thing, we spoke about actionability. I think you heard me speak about it. From right within the platform, you can write emails, add notes, tasks, and even make phone calls from right within the playbook itself. Very, very actionable. That's sort of all the power which is getting added on. So it's, see, a playbook is nothing but a predefined process that you want to follow in a time-bound manner. But this playbook is especially empowered by all the insights of product adoption, the health during product adoption, and all the actionability which is sitting on top, which will enable you to do that. That's been the focus. This is like a 2-minute version of customer playbook. The second piece that I'll quickly show you is the health. So we don't look at health as a single customer account health. We believe an account needs multiple, has multiple characteristics. So if you ask me my health, so Puneet, what's your health? My first question to you would be, what do you mean? My physical health, my financial health, I hope you don't ask that. My mental health, I hope you don't find that out. And my, let's say my career health, or whatever that is. Similarly, we've identified health can have multiple parameters here: product adoption, financial, service, and relationship. Because we are making phone calls, everything from right here, you will be able to do all of that. And this is the structured health, which is calculated using all the health score configurator, which is an extremely advanced configurator. So for example, if you're looking at configuring, remember we've got 4 healths. You zoom in, you configure each one of them. What all contributes to this? So I can say, hey, time spent in the system should be greater than 500 minutes in the last 30 days across all users in a particular account for an account to be in good health. And they should use they should have created at least 50 content pieces. Let's say this is a marketing tool in the last 30 days for an account to be in good health. But the challenge comes in, is 50 the right threshold, or should it be something else? So there you go ahead and say advanced, and I say at least 10% of users should have created, let's say, a content piece. So you can go ahead and customize the health score to a level which is configurable at an account level, because you're using account level variables. I'm not sure how much you will follow up. This is like typically a 50 minutes demo, but extremely configurable product adoption health, extremely configurable financial health, which is going to be based on invoices and subscription details. Service quality health based on how many open tickets, how many critical tickets and then relationship build based on how many emails and touch points that the customer has seen. So that's Customer Success Box help for you, and like I was mentioning, extremely actionable. All the details, including the user level, you will be able to see which user has been using which features, all of that detail. I'm pretty much, I think I'm done with my 10 minutes time slot. If you want to know more, feel free to sign up for a detailed demonstration. I would love to show you. With that, thank you for all your patience and surviving on that sandwich if you got your hands onto it, and that tea. And thank you. We are a very young organization. This is our second meetup, and so far the best. Only had 2 meetups, so this was the best. But as a young organization, we continue to run on feedback. I personally have very thick skin. That means I would like to get some real candid feedback, where we went wrong, where we can do better, on the product, on the arrangement, on everything else. As a community, we try to be digital, physical, everything. I don't know what's working, what's not. We're still scratching our head. So your feedback is gold. So please share some. And we're not looking for encouragement, especially with things we can improve. So that's my only request. You can catch me offline today, tomorrow. Thank you. We'll sign off.